Well, it's a Monday morning, and what a bright and beautiful world it is, isn't it? Just, I mean, Matt, I bet you could tell me too. That doesn't it just feel like you can breathe a little easier? You're just kind of like, oh, it's there's kind of like, okay, it's not all perfect, it's not all good, but the one thing that just kind of blows me away thinking about is that we're not going to see any more of this insane like trans stuff online anymore. It's just not going to exist. I'm telling you, man. After you're going to give it 6 months or so, and it's going to be gone. And that in and of itself is like a deep breath of fresh air that is worth it. And we don't have to see Kamala anymore. She's gone from our lives, Matt, probably forever. Isn't that amazing?
We are in the golden age.
We are in the golden age.
The golden age. The golden age is underway. There was a tweet that went viral that said just what you expressed there. I pulled it up. This woman tweeted, has anyone noticed that there's a sudden lightness in the air, like such a positive and hopeful and wonderful energy, as if a switch was turned on? The world is literally in the process of healing with each passing day. Kev, I swear, like my coffee is better. The clouds are whiter. The sky is more blue.
Right?
My pasta sauce has a little bit more richness to it. The spaghetti is just a bit more al dente. The world, I'm exaggerating.
Yeah,
the world is just barely. There does, in all seriousness, though, there does seem to be a renowned sense of maybe normalcy of patriotism, which is good.
Yeah.
And just this idea that American people who just want to live a normal life have won. And I think
exactly
that's an insane thing to say, but that's where we're at.
No, exactly. And I think you're exactly right. Normal is right. And I think, again, we're going to have plenty of people like, oh, Trump's not the savior. We agree with you. We're with you. He's not perfect. He does a lot of things we don't like. We've said that many, many times. But he is also against men playing in women's sports. That's the normalcy we're saying. That this is the lunacy that would have been multiplied by 100 if Kamala had been president. So let's appreciate that. Say a prayer of thanksgiving. I really legitimately mean that. And if it's not for Trump, that's fine. If that's how you feel, say a prayer of thanksgiving that Kamala is not in office, because it would have been really bad. And I think we really sincerely need to be thankful for that. And Matt, we got to be thankful for what else happened. I mean, and I know, again, people are sick of us talking about politics. We're gonna cool it down very soon. Probably starting next week. We're talking about starting another political channel. We'll get back to you on that if the time comes, if we do it.
So the first one thing, I think there's a lot that we can talk about today and a lot that we could dive into and really channel, where the conversation goes based on certain topics that surround the election. But I think one thing that I really thought was great and refreshing, out of many so far, to be honest, was that Trump said that his administration would recognize that there are two genders and that his administration would work to ban any sort of transgender operation for minors. Now, I know that we could have a debate on that itself, but that at least is a win that we would not be feeling under a Harris administration. So, as you said, a very flawed in many ways candidate, but there's some sort of moral compass there. There's some sort of moral good there that we have to take and we have used to prevent what could have been an insanity. So I think that's why a lot of us feel this lightness. A lot of us feel like this weight off our shoulders, because this normalcy of what a society, what a family should look like now sort of reigns in America. And not just that, I think the hope that a lot of Americans are feeling are not just with him, because he does, he has said a lot of good and positive things, but the people, and I think this is kind of where we might go with this, Kevin, the people that he will surround himself with, I think is going to make the biggest impact. Unlike a 2016 administration, I think there's a lot. I have heard the funniest things. I heard someone say, I need to do 10 push-ups before I go to bed because Trump is president now. Maybe there's just this feel of almost personal, I guess you could say personal responsibility, that this new administration is going to focus truly on public health. And Bobby Kennedy has made a lot of really good videos, even just the last few days, on what he plans to do and where he plans to go and what is being put into our food, into our energy, into our air. And I think, one man, even though he may be just one single individual, can inspire people to do those sort of things, to actually get healthier, because this is the America that I'm going to live now. And I know people might kind of shrug that off or give a little chuckle to that, but I do think there is something to say about that, feeling that that resound sense of hope that, hey, like we are going to be start looking at these things as a country, and maybe I do need to get into better shape. And I think that would be a wonderful thing for America, and I could see it happening.
Well, and you had on that fact Trump coming out and saying we're going to make America pray again. And yeah, I understand in that same video, he's like, I think he's trying to sell a Bible, which is like, okay, yeah, that's pretty sleazy. But
Signed
again,
copy.
you take the wins when you get them. I mean, if you have a president saying, hey, we should pray again, do you think Kamala would have done that? Absolutely not. So let's take it. These are good things. It's good that we have a group of people who want to make America healthy. It's good that they want to get men out of women's sports. I mean, this insanity, and some of it that's gone on for decades, man. The health stuff. I live in Germany, and people over here are like, wait, what do they do they do what in America? They put diet, they do all this insanity, and they have this fake fruit and vegetables that they pump full of water to make it look better, and it doesn't taste good, and it's more expensive. And I've talked to my friends over here. I've lived here 8 years now, and we talk about it. It's like, why is this the case? And I think a lot of people, we just don't really even know. I've talked to Americans too. It's like, why is it that we have a food crisis in America? And I think most people don't know, and I think that's what we hope, that RFK and Trump are going to figure out, because that if you get that right, and I really think people getting healthier, hopefully they're going to get back on the right track spiritually.
So I want to throw this out there really quick. Pretend that you are a political advisor now, and you're one of those, talking heads on CNN, MSNBC, and I asked you, Kev. This was a shock to a lot of people, and there are some of those crystal ball. Who is it? I forget his name, but some polling gurus who said that this should be has the potential to be a resounding win for Kamala Harris, and it went opposite. It actually went. Trump had the strongest performance in so many ways that, and we can break this down a little bit more further on in the show. But if I were to ask you, where did Kamala Harris go wrong? Why did she not perform the way? So give me some ideas. Why did she not? She lost all 7 swing states. If you've seen a map, and this is shocking, Kev, they had the U.S. map on the magic wall there, and they pulled up where Kamala Harris did better than Biden did in 2020, and not a single area lit up. No, where did she? What? Where did she go wrong with this? What would you say if you were her advisor?
Think of it this way. I mean, who wants to vote for a wine mom? And who wants to vote for someone with and honestly, it's something that some things that she couldn't even help, and I really mean it. Like, she has an annoying voice. She just does. And it's not her fault, and I don't even mean to pick on her about it. It's just, it's true. Like her voice is not pleasant. It's something that kind of grates on you. Her laugh is pretty miserable. Maybe it's fine if you're with her at a pub or something, sure, but you don't want to hear that on TV when you're talking about very serious stuff. It's so literally parts of her personality are just bad. And honestly, I'd say you can go into Tim Walz and stuff, which is just an absolute nightmare pick. But I think the biggest thing is that I that's why I was really convinced she was going to win. That Trump was going to win, was that when you come in as a incumbent, which she practically is, and you have 70% disapproval, you don't win. That's
72%, correct?
Exactly. So over 70, so you don't win. It just makes sense. I mean, think about it. She has the same policies. She's coming in off a government that everyone's upset with. Then, like, of course, she's not going to win. I think that was.
I'll say this.
It was economic, really.
I'll say this, and there are a lot of talking points as to why. And Nancy Pelosi, there's apparently a lot of rift between Obama and Clinton because they've disagreed on how this was handled. And kind of from what I've heard was that, well, Biden hurt our chances here. He dropped out too late. He didn't allow for an open primary. We didn't get to see Kamala Harris the way that, in a typical election we would. She was squished into 100 and so whatever days. That this whole process was rushed, and people didn't like the fact that she was literally installed in and all of those sort of things. But my thing, and this sounds kind of pagan of me here, but I think you'll understand my point. She had no aura. She didn't have, Donald Trump, whatever you may feel about him, has an aura. He has, and I don't know if that's even a pagan word or whatever, but I know you mean what I'm trying to say. He has
charisma. Yeah,
charisma. Right, there's something to say, like whatever like the McDonald's thing and the garbage truck thing.
Man, the dude got shot in the face and stood up and said, "Fight, fight, fight."
There was coolness.
You don't have a chance about
him. Come on. And she just was. She was fake. She had no no aura whatsoever. She was not cool. She had no charisma. She was annoying. But looking at some of the exit poll numbers, Kev, which are decisive, really, and this does not happen. The white, I'll underline that there, the white Catholic vote was 58-40 Trump. That is unheard of. Usually the Catholic, so-called Catholic vote has gone to the Democrats.
Yeah.
She shot herself in the foot time and time again. And I think I have talked to people, not in person, but just, going around on here and seeing what I can find and pull out from people in message boards, whatever, or not message boards, Twitter feeds, message boards. Wow, I dated myself. Wow. And her message of "you're at the wrong rally" didn't sit well with a lot of people, a lot of so-called professed Christians who were voting for her, who were like, she's truly excluding me from her party, from the America that she wants. This wasn't just her personal opinion. This was her saying that this movement here, this administration doesn't want you here. You are at the wrong rally if you believe Jesus is Lord. And there were a lot of liberals who did not like that.
And I just want to go even one step further. And I think you do have plenty of these, 40% quote unquote Catholics who are, they're voting for a massively pro-abortion party, which is, I think that it's, you can probably say it's morally sinful to do so. It's certainly questionable. Let's just say it's very, very, very questionable to vote for a Kamala Harris type. But I actually think it's really optimistic, because I think you see that number, the 58%. I think you can see that I actually would even say that means that the Novus Ordo Catholics are becoming more awakened. They're waking up to reality. They're becoming more traditional. They're moving towards truth. They're moving away from the insanity of Bergoglio and of Kamala Harris. And I think that's something to be really positive about. I think it's something to be like, hey, yep, one step at a time. We understand they're not all exactly online with our beliefs and what we truly believe to be true. But hey, let's take the win, for goodness sake. And I think that I'm with you, man. I think that's a huge one, and I think we need to take that. No, they are Catholics, so it's unfair even to put air quotes, because they are. I'm sure most of them are very sincerely trying to be Catholic, which actually does make them Catholic. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But and I have to say, maybe
another thesis point there, Kev.
Yeah, exactly, right. You can bring up this next, and I have to offer an apology to especially white women. I have to say that I've given white women a hard time. I've said, on several occasions that I wonder if women should be allowed to vote, which is still an interesting question. I think people jump down my throat, but it actually is more of the question of who should be allowed to vote. It used to be landowners, male landowners. Anyway, I do have to apologize, because the white female vote actually voted in majority for Trump, which is unimaginably shocking.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, let me pull up the exit poll here, which I have, by gender. Let's see. Now they break this apart by age, which is even I'll go back. Let me
Gen Z.
Gen Z. Yeah.
Points towards Trump.
So let's see. So overall, wait, your women vote was overall. It says here that.
No, it had
white women. White women. Okay. Yeah. Because overall, men were 55-42 Trump, and overall, women were 53-45 Kamala. By race. Here we go. Yeah. So white women. Yeah.
Right. White women, I think, were
45. 53-45. I have it. There's so much. They break this down so detailed. 53-45 Trump, and white men, which make up 34% of the voting block, 60-37 Trump. Wow. And I think here, if I just let's see, how about this? Age and gender. And this typically, I mean, I'm going back to Obama, men from 18 to 29. So really young men, 49-47 Trump. That is unheard of again, and for the youth vote to go to a Republican.
Yeah.
Even here, let me just scroll here. Let me see here. Even income, which typically favors Democrats. If your family makes under $30,000 a year, 50-46 Kamala. Those are not any sort of trouncing numbers for her at all. And I wanted to pull this up too, because I had sent you this guy. Let me just go to this here. So Donald Trump gained ground in 49 states. I think Washington State was the one where he didn't. So 49 states and DC. The last time any candidate of either party gained this much ground was 1992, Bill Clinton's win over George Bush the father.
Oh, interesting.
Donald Trump is the first Republican to win the popular vote since 2004. Trump won the highest number of GOP 18 to 29-year-old votes in 20 years. Trump won the highest percentage of GOP black vote in 48 years. Trump won the highest percentage of GOP Hispanic vote in 52 years.
Wow.
And a lot of his other numbers, they say, are best in exit poll history. It goes back to 72, I think it was. They said the exit poll. So they've never had numbers that good.
He won counties that had never been won, ever. All right, one was like 1890 was the last time it was Republican or something like that. So I shouldn't say never, but over 100 years.
And I don't have this in front of me, but there's a district in Texas, which is, I believe you saw this, which was the highest percentage of Spanish population in the country, and it went for Donald Trump. And it's along the border in Texas with Mexico. Again, unheard of numbers.
Did you hear what the leftist reason for that was? Guess. I bet you could guess. Well, what do you think? Why do they think they say, well, Mexicans voted Republican because they hate women?
Oh,
I'm serious. Like, this is what several leftist hosts have come out. I was like, well, it's because
I think there's probably
they're known to be misogynist. They hate women. That's why they voted for Trump. It's like,
I feel like,
do you think maybe it's actually because of the border?
No, but I think
want to live.
I think there's something to say to that. I think there's something to say to that, though. I think that there are a lot of Hispanics who would not want a woman to be in charge. I definitely think, and not enough maybe to win a district-wide vote, but I think that's in there. But overall,
black men too.
Here's something that I think is still interesting. So if we go to this, the Protestant vote. Oh, this is overall. This is every race, both genders, and whatnot. The overall Protestant vote, 63 to 36, Trump. The overall Catholic vote, so this is encompassing everybody, 58 to 40, Trump. The Jewish vote, 78 to 22, Kamala Harris.
Wow. And I heard that's the most in. I gotta real quickly go down that path, right? Because I heard that's the most in 20, 30 years or something for that the Jews voted Democrat. I don't know if that's true because I've heard different reports, but I just want to say this is the whole black pillar. This is like their main argument, right? That he's owned by the Jews and the Jews all love him. Well, I guess only 12%.
Yeah, I wonder that. No, I do wonder.
You know, I mean, let's calm down on that rhetoric a little bit because the vote would say otherwise.
And here's our dagger, Kev. Atheists, 71%, Kamala Harris, which of course, I mean,
yeah,
of course.
They don't believe
I also here I like this one as well. Gender and marital status. Now, how come when they're looking at exit polls, all of a sudden there's only two genders? I wish they would be a bit more encompassing.
Yeah, exactly. Too true.
Married men, 60 to 38, Donald Trump. Married women, 51 to 48, Donald Trump. Non-married men, 49 to 47, Donald Trump. And non-married women, 59 to 38, Kamala Harris. So the only demographic there, married, single, man, woman, that didn't vote for Trump were non-married women. What do you think that might tell us, Kev? Do they need to get married? or should we not marry them? Which way does it go?
It's a good question.
Give your advice.
But I'm telling you, Matt, I really truly believe that if Trump does what he's saying, even in the last few days, what he's saying he's going to do, I think all except for your really, really, truly far leftists, which will definitely still exist, are going to see, okay, my life actually is better under this type of regime. I actually think, and I hope, and I legitimately pray that this is the beginning of a long tenure of quote unquote Republican. It's not Republican. I don't know what you want to call it. If you want to call it MAGA,
I agree. This is not. I agree with you.
And I think that it's going to. I really believe, unless they totally mess something up or the world ends, I think you're going to see 4 years Trump, and I think you're going to see 8 years of Vance. I just saw this, Matt. I just saw on X that out of the 4 candidates, guess who has the highest rating or popular, the highest.
Vance. I saw that.
I didn't see the numbers, but he has the highest out of the 4, which is
not only that, but I believe it was one of the highest of an incoming VPs in many years. Where was I gonna? There was a point that I wanted to make to that as well. Someone was saying that it's very concerning to us. This was Democrat, whoever, that Donald Trump won Florida by a wider margin than he lost New York, which they said is actually very concerning to them. They're like, we're looking at states. And here's the thing. Someone was saying they're going to take Pennsylvania and make it into Florida. So a now leaning somewhat red state, solid red. We're going to take New Jersey and make it Pennsylvania. So in other words, now that bluish state New Jersey we're looking purple, and we're going to take New York and make it New Jersey, close that gap even more. And there were some numbers that came in that Donald Trump performed so well in California that with the right movement, with the right numbers, with the right people, you could see it red once.
Yes, again. I think even in 2 years, I thought that California had a very slight chance of going red, and obviously it's not quite there yet. But this is something I got wrong about this entire election, is that I also said that I thought that Texas was going to go farther left, and it didn't.
Have you seen what's happened? From 2016 to 2020 to 2024, it's gotten more red each time. So that is a myth. That is something that I think needs to be taken out of the conversation, because we've heard that, but it has gone more and more. It went from, I'm just rounding now, but it went from like 48 Trump to 52 Trump to 56 Trump. It has trended deeper red, and because different demographics are being reached, the Hispanic population there is being heard, and they're voting for Trump in large numbers. I would agree with you. This is not the Republican Party. This is a brand new movement there. I don't know what you would call it yet, but it's not the Republicanism that we knew of Bush, McCain, Romney.
So here's a question for you, Matt. If it had been Trump versus Gavin Newsom, what do you think it would have been similar? I still think Trump would have won. What do you think would have been still as big of a rout?
I don't.
He's male.
I'm thinking. I feel like Shapiro in Pennsylvania.
You drop him,
I think Trump would have won either way. I think Trump was just on his way to victory. I think, as Piers Morgan said, the Trump train was steamrolling through, and nobody was going to stop it, no matter who it was. I think other candidates would have done better because they were smarter, they were more intelligent, they were more coherent, they had a bit more likability to them. She had so many things going wrong for her. And honestly, Kev, if I were Joe Biden, I'm sure you've seen some footage of him. He's ecstatic. He is absolutely enthralled by all of this. They tried to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Kamala Harris, all of them said, shut up, step aside. If we want to remain in power, you need to exit this race for us to win. And he had to give up what he didn't want to do, because he said resoundingly time and time again, I will be the nominee. I will face Trump in November. And they kicked him out. They booted him out. They got rid of him. And Trump won in resounding fashion. He is thrilled over it, and you could see it if you saw his address to the media. He was all smiles.
Joe Biden wore red on election day. Do not tell me that's an accident. No way that's an accident.
Imagine having her laugh in your ear all day.
Oh man,
he's probably on migraine pills, which is probably exactly what
happened to his brain.
That's a good point.
We solved it.
That's a good point. Kamala is gone from him, and now his dementia's cured. He can walk. He can talk.
Smiling. He's like totally lucid again, and like, man, wait, this was the problem all along. Oh,
I don't think anybody would have stopped him. And I also have to say, and Rasmussen put this out, I was wrong. I think, I don't forget your thoughts on this, but I kind of believed that on a national level, a DeSantis or a Nikki Haley might have been a stronger candidate, and I was wrong. They actually showed that they tried those numbers in certain polling simulations, and Trump outperformed them both quite handedly.
Well, and that's actually a really interesting topic, because I think we're seeing that there's two different things. Obviously, that Trump just had a better platform by far. She didn't have one. She didn't have a platform. She really, they didn't put anything together. They copy pasted Biden's platform, literally, like using that word actually correctly. Literally, they copy pasted Biden's platform, which is insane. But I think you're seeing that. So he just had a better, he had a better plan. But I also think that you're seeing that a personality, a cult of personality is actually a big deal. Now, it's not just, you can't just be a political machine. You can't be a democratic machine that can just plug in a candidate like Biden and win. And that makes me really question, Matt. And I'm sure there are many people listening that are with me that if you start looking at the theme throughout this, you see Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, or George H.W. Bush is a bit of a outlier in his first election. His second election, obviously, I think he won because they were at war. There was a lot of patriotism. Then you got Obama, clearly personality. Obama the second time, personality. Trump, again, personality. And then Biden got the most votes ever, right? I think. Did he get the most votes ever? Yeah.
We're missing 20 million votes, by the way.
Yeah.
They're not there.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, it's interesting though, because I think if you actually look at it, I think Trump's going to be more effective now than he would have been in 2020. He
said too, here's another thing that I like. He said he will rid our military of all the woke generals, and he said, I know them all. I know all the names, and I'm going to get him out. I hope he does what he says he does. I really, truly hope that, and I think everybody does. I saw a video, Kevin. This is, you can make of it what you wish. It's a lesbian woman married, quote unquote, to a woman, and she voted for Trump. And she gave her reasons in a video, which I gotta say, if you just closed your eyes and didn't know who you were looking at, because she looks every bit lesbian, and just listen to her message, she sounded very sensical, and she said there are a lot more people who feel like me. And she had said that a lot of us, this is not just me, there's a lot of us in this group that we want to be able to live with and quote unquote love who we wish, and truly have it stop there. Enjoy the freedoms that every other American could enjoy. But these people pushed putting young children into drag queen hours. She said this is this woman. She's saying that is abhorrent to do. We're giving pills and surgeries and reassignment surgeries to minors. That is abhorrent to do. She said these people started to suck in children and youth into this movement where they have absolutely no business being, no business seeing, no business being a part of. There's a lot of people like me who think they have taken this way too far, which is why I think there's this sense of normalcy shifting. And she really made a lot of good points. And I think it's kind of what you and I opened with today, was just the fact that or people just want that sort of normal lifestyle that they were not getting. They have gone so far off the rails, and they're okay with it. And I think that has not sat well with a lot of voters, a lot of people, Democrats and liberals included, who just saw where things are going, and they're like, you know what, I can't endorse it. And I think people, one more thing to just say, I think people too who were, I'm as someone who is pro-life, I don't know if I could vote for Trump. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could get myself behind his candidacy. I think in the end they broke for him. I think there was this whole thought process by Lila Rose was one of them who said, well, if Trump is going to move this far to the left on abortion, then he's lost our vote. In the end, it didn't matter. They came out in support of Trump anyway. And I think it's a hard pendulum to shift to, and I absolutely get that. And we should never compromise on these issues. But
right, because if you do
in front of us.
Yeah, and you're right. Of course, I'm with you. This is a clear lesser of two evils, but I think it's the whole gay agenda has clearly, that was what started everything, all of this. And I said it back in the day. And I think maybe even in our show, no, it was probably even before that. So whenever, saying that this is pretty clear that if you say love is love, then that has no ending, right? There's no logical end to that. You can say, okay, I want to marry my toaster, right? And I think that really, and again, it's funny, but it's also not, because that's actually almost what's happened, right? It actually goes to an absolute incredible insanity, because you get rid of God's rules, and if you get rid of God's rules, then you get men's rules, and men's rules are stupid depending on who's in charge. So you have to keep, and so we all agree with that. Again, I think that's something that you and I don't disagree with, this group of people. The question is, who is going to keep that at a better level? Who's going to make it, who's going to take it farther? And that's just not a question. It was never a question. Kamala was going to take that to an absolute extreme, as Biden already began.
Absolutely. And I think so many people so many people saw this, and they there's no end to it. And I think, a lot of the founding of America was with the influence of John Locke, who said that man is naturally inherently good, and that he's naturally inclined to good, void of the sacraments, void of grace, and all of that, which we've seen is not true, at all. You leave man to his own devices, and he turns into an animal, with his passions, with his desires and whatnot. So we see where that goes, which is why the church has always said separation of church and state is an evil, because when you lose that, you truly go off the rails. Who's to say, anything anymore? It's all just subjective. And I think, again, with all his faults and all his flaws and all the sins that he's committed, there is a moral compass there to Trump, and there is a moral compass there to Vance. And it just, hopefully they could swing the country in that direction. Maybe, hopefully, at some point, undo a lot of the things that they've once done, and just continue to chip away at some morally evil and sinful things that have swept our country, go the other way. And there are so many people who are out there on Twitter and in social media who are so black-pilled about America, and I think that's a miserable way to be. There is hope for every land. There's hope for every country and every nation. There's so much good in America. There's so much Catholicity, truly, in America. The popes have spoken of, our Lady is the patron of our country. How can we give up on that? How can we just? I saw somebody say, they said, as a Catholic, I wanted Kamala Harris to win so that the great Satan could die sooner. And I think that is just how can you think that way of your country, which is been consecrated to Our Lady. And popes have, Pius XII, I've tweeted this, he has said, if America acknowledges her as queen, she will be safe. America will be safe. We can shape our culture, and we can shape our land, and we should be working towards that, under the patroness of the Blessed Mother. So how can you just give up and just throw your hands up and say, well, that's it here? That is never, imagine if that was the ideology of so many men in the past. Imagine if King Louis IX, we'll just forget it and we'll just see how this goes. No. They've stood by and fought for what they knew was virtuous and right and just, and worked to build their land and their country for that and in honor of God.
And if you like monarchy or isolationism or what, and we're not going to get to monarchy anytime soon, but if you like real extreme traditional conservative values, which I do certainly, then take part in real voting, locally, vote locally, vote in the primaries, and just that's great. I mean, vote in the primaries, and the more people who do that and actually understand local politics, the more likely we are to actually head in the right direction, rather than you get to a point where it's Trump versus Kamala. It's like, really? Really? But I really think there's hope. And, I think, again, Vance, he's not perfect. I don't like that he kind of softened his stance on abortion publicly, but I think he's a guy that I truly think if we pray, and this is what we got to do, we got to pray and sacrifice. I mean, we got to do pilgrimages for our country. I truly believe that, and pray that hopefully somehow in 12 years, when Vance is president, we're looking at stuff like we're looking at outlawing abortion, like completely. Now, it's not going to happen next year. And this is again, this whole group of people who just like, this isn't exactly what I want. Everyone should want the reign of Christ the King, and say, yes, of course, but it's not going to happen tomorrow. That's not realistic. Christ is not likely. I don't know. We don't know what Christ is going to do, but probably not going to come down and just boom, here is the answer to the American issues. It's just the odds of that are very, very small. So we have to fix it, and then we have to fix it step by step by step. And that absolutely, and again, Matt, I would say, this is something that I scolded people on Twitter for, the people who didn't vote at all. Look what happened in Florida. They didn't pass the voting, the abortion issue, barely. They almost passed it, and I think they passed it in 6 other states. So it means that our taxpayer dollars are going to abortion. Yeah. And that's, are you trying to tell me? And I know in Nebraska it barely passed by I think even a couple hundred or 1,000 votes or something. So doesn't anyone out there who didn't vote, don't you think for a second, maybe my vote might, I know you don't think this way, but maybe that one vote actually did, count. And if all Catholics went out there and voted for at least down the ticket, for at least for going against abortion bills. So I think that's what we really have to figure out. These things actually do matter. We can see that in Florida compared to Colorado.
There was an election. There was an election. I don't know if it was 2022 or 2020 at the state level, in an area which received tens of thousands of votes. It was a famous story, and it won by one vote. Did you see that? It was literally like I'm
Vaguely
gonna
remember
round
that. Yeah.
16,002 to
Crazy.
16,001. Like
Crazy.
truly
Makes
one
sense.
vote. Made the difference. So I mean, it's certainly possible. And I think I'm just digging through more. There's so much here. Exit poll numbers. And this one is pretty interesting too. Abortion. They break down abortion a lot. So here, I wanted to go through this. So abortion should be legal in all cases. 32% of Americans believe that, and that 32% block went 87% Kamala Harris. Legal in most cases. 33% of Americans are there, and that went 49 to 49 both. Illegal abortion should be illegal in most cases. That's 26% of the population, and that went 92 to 7 Trump. And abortion should be illegal in all cases. This says here that's only 6% of the population. Just reading the data here, 88% Trump. So here's one more thing here. Who do you trust to handle abortion better? 49% say Kamala Harris is the better candidate for abortion. 45% say Donald Trump. What comes closest to your opinion overall? Abortion should be legal. 65% of Americans. Abortion should be illegal. 31% of Americans. But Donald Trump won, and everywhere else. Who do you trust to handle the economy? Donald Trump. Who do you trust to handle immigration? Donald Trump. Who do you trust to handle crime? Donald Trump. Who do you trust to handle safety? Donald Trump. Who do you trust more to handle a crisis? Donald Trump. All these exit polls all pointed in his direction. So I think even early on when they were looking at these numbers, I think it was Chris Wallace who at 7 p.m. he said before the votes are even counted, looking at this data here, this isn't looking good for her, because this is all that she represented. This is all that she represented. I think another thing too, Kev, to kind of touch on is that there's a chance that Donald Trump can nominate 2 more Supreme Court justices, which would put it in a 7-2 swing of they would call it a supermajority.
No, so, the 2 leaving would be Republican, right? Or not conservative.
It depends on
and Alito, right? They're both.
But it depends on. Yeah, but it depends on Sotomayor too. I heard different rumors with her, so I think there were rumors with her about her wanting to step aside. But
right now is a 6-3, right? Or no, 5-4. What is it right now?
It's 6-3.
6-3. Yeah,
it's 6-3.
Yeah. So if she leaves, then I think it's most likely going to be Thomas and
Alito. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
And then you do, but I mean, you would get what you do get though is you get 2 much younger judges who could be there for, you hope, 20-30 years, right? And I don't love his picks. Gorsuch I've liked. The other 2 have been meh.
Amy Barrett was a disappointment for me
compared to what it could have been. Oh my goodness! I mean, like
they want to put Kamala Harris on the Supreme Court. I don't know if you heard
that.
You heard that.
I did hear that, and I hope that's just some fool on Twitter. But I mean, if anyone actually said that seriously, I think you need a special place in prison for someone who actually has ideas like that.
We're going to notice.
It's oh my goodness.
They're going to put her on the court, and then we're going to notice all the other justices are getting dementia and they can't think straight, and they can't walk because she's cackling in their ears.
They're wearing like headphones going in,
noise canceling headphones.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that's she's not an intelligent person. Have you seen, Matt, the videos going around of Tim Walz's wife?
Yes,
or whatever.
She's possessed.
Yeah,
she's
that's what I thought. That's what I was.
Did you see the eyes?
Yeah, she looks like she's a devil, man.
Bugging out, and she moves really strange, like she's a mannequin, or like she's a. I don't know. At least we kept her far away. That's another thing too. Is you can say what you want about Melania and a lot of, but at least there's somewhat of a class there.
Yeah,
like at least she's.
Sure.
I mean, she's put together well. She's put together.
She's elegant. She's a classy, elegant lady. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And so I mean,
perfect.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I would much rather have to deal with her because she rarely talks, and when she does, it's nice and it's quiet and it's soft. rather than, or I mean, I guess Kamala's husband doesn't say that much either, but he's a woman beater, and another one of these just classy guys, I suppose. No, I mean, again, the more you go down what was going on and what is happening now, just I think we really do have to be thankful. And I think that you see again some of the things that Trump said in the last few days. It's like, man, this sounds awesome. And like everything he said that I've heard so far, and I haven't heard everything obviously, but from what I've heard, is like this sounds like the perfect ideal president. So is he actually going to do it? I don't know. We'll see.
It's a lot to tackle. It's a lot to tackle. But if you put together an efficient team who know what they're doing, it's absolutely doable. I mean, look at what Elon Musk did with Twitter. He fired 80%, 80% of like their staff, and it's functioning better than ever. If he didn't buy Twitter, where would we be? I mean, I think. I mean, I hate to say, I don't know if I would say that Elon Musk bought the election, but he helped.
Almost.
That was
almost. Yeah,
that was close.
That's why I had somebody, I think my father-in-law, someone texted me so what do you think, Musk or Soros? And it's like, that's a fair question, because I think that's the comparison. That
Soros funds the Democrats.
He funds the Democrat. He funds the evil Democrat, the very left Democrats. And I think Musk, and I'm not a Musk fan. I've said it many times. I think he's kind of a creepy dude. But I mean, what he did positively here is
again, for all of that with him, he has said some things that have been beneficial. He has given, same thing with Joe Rogan. At least you can say they've given everybody a fair chance at having a voice in this. They've invited people to the table.
Yeah.
And I respect that with Joe Rogan. He's brought on guests to talk about hard things. And I don't know why that has become such a thing that we can't do anymore. Nutrition, right? And the vaccine, he's had on a few, I can't remember their names, but a few people who talk, and he's let them talk. Even if he disagrees, he's given them something to kind of at least have a conversation of at the table. And I think it's really cool. And I think if the right people are put in the right positions and he does deliver on what he said, that's why they're talking about a so-called golden age, because it could happen.
Yeah.
Imagine if you go to McDonald's and your fries are back in the beef fat and the burgers are real meat, and like these dyes are. Bobby Kennedy just posted a video and it showed that the junk that is in a bag of Doritos is in the can of tomatoes that you're making your soup with, or your sauce with, or your pizza, whatever.
Crazy.
And it's getting poisoned.
And again, I can really speak to this because I live in Germany, where most of these things are banned, and the food is better, and it's half the price sometimes, not all the time, but it's way cheaper to go to a grocery store, way cheaper, and it's better. So these things, and this is Germany, Matt, for goodness sake, America is the heartland of the world. I mean, the fact that this is happening is absolute insanity, because America could do it better than anyone, no question. I don't doubt that. That's why I've always thought, it's like, why am I saying this about Germany? And I like Germany, but America could do this better than anyone, easily. So they just need someone to go in and regulate it.
And if they do it, there's always that trickle effect. They say America sneezes and the world catches a cold. There is that trickle effect of what happens here.
Worse though. I honestly, America has
COVID.
Maybe Mexico. Yeah, America's the one that's just unbelievable. Their food laws and stuff are just absolute insanity. And they got bought by these big companies that were they're cigarette companies, Monsanto, just immoral, totally illegal, should be illegal companies that need to be wiped off the face of the earth. And I think, Matt, you do need to start sending some people to prison. I really believe. I think you need to start sending,
for sure,
the head of Monsanto. These people are putting poison in the food for profit, need to go to jail. And I just think if you do a couple of them, you make an example, and then it's like, okay, yep. All right, we get it. Okay, we can't get away with this anymore. And I thought really interesting. I know we've been going a while now, but I think really interesting too for our sake, that Trump came out and said that he's going to really protect the First Amendment, and he's going to protect against shadow banning and against shutting down conservative voices, etc. And I think he means it. And I truly believe that even Google and YouTube are going to have to be like, okay, yep, we get it. We have to play fair. And I actually truly believe that's going to make a difference for our channel. I mean, and that's again part of why we're thinking about doing another channel for politics that I think you hope could somehow find a place in the marketplace that I think is going to be the future of news. Which it's already kind of now, but I think even more in the future is on X. It is on YouTube. CNN's not going to exist after another 10 years.
Elon Musk tweeted, "You are the media now."
Yeah, it's true. It's exactly right. Yeah.
Joe Rogan could hold a single podcast and just blast MSNBC all out of the water, just completely.
Yeah.
And one more point. I know we're wrapping up here, Kev, but one more point that I think that you made and you were right on. And when I looked a bit more deeper in it over the past week, it was end of August. I pulled it up. End of August, Bobby Kennedy dropped out and endorsed Trump. And you and I on the show here, you had said that I think that will seal it for Trump. And I think you were pretty confident that that move there will bring, because he was probably the strongest independent candidate in a long time.
Yeah.
And his supporters all trickled to Trump. And you had said that in August when this was just happening, that because of him now, that'll be enough to move the pendulum and Trump should win. And then looking at some of the numbers here, there were a lot of Kennedy voters who were behind Kennedy for those main reasons that we know, for food and for health, and they liked what Kennedy brought to the table. And ever since Trump promised him a position in the cabinet to work on those things, the votes all broke that way. And you can see here people saying, I was for Kennedy and I voted for Trump because of what I see here and what matters to me. And so I think that is absolutely true. I really think that demographic, which is why Trump saw so many gains, is that large block of voters who were all for Kennedy, heavily over 60%, 65% or so went to Trump. And that really, I think that made a lot for him.
Well, and the nice thing is, moving forward, and again, I know people don't want us to talk about politics every week, and I'm definitely not going to say we're not going to talk politics anymore, but we're definitely not going to just talk politics. I'm sure Matt agrees with me there, and I think that we'll, the nice thing though, Matt, I really think that with the changes that are coming, I think you don't have to talk about Trump and stuff, but I think we can talk about these things that are changing. I mean, I think just again the idea of the First Amendment, the idea of no more men in female sports. I mean, I don't know if you just saw that they admitted now that the one boxer dude who was beating up women in the Olympics is officially male. Did you see that? He is provenly now he has male chromosomes.
Yeah, I think I came across.
He's a male and he beat up women during the Olympics. So great job, Olympic Committee. And these are things again that I really think. I don't know for that. I don't think anyone should go to prison, but I think people should absolutely be fired. I mean, whoever allowed that should not have a job anywhere near sports ever again, ever. You're done. You're done. Sure. Did you? Okay. Again, I know we keep going on, but here's another thing. Did you hear, man? I'm sure you heard this. The lady who worked with FEMA, she was one of the, big manager at FEMA, was telling people on the ground, FEMA, who's helping during the hurricane cleanup in North Carolina and Florida. And this lady told the workers to skip houses that had Trump signs.
I did see that.
So not to give help to Trump supporters. FEMA.
I did see that.
A government entity that is getting taxpayer dollars to supposedly help American taxpayers who have just gone through a horrible hurricane, and they're saying don't help people of one political class. That woman should be in prison. Lock her up. These are the type of people, you cannot let this happen. This is the type of thing, you've got to clean up the society. You got to say, this is never happening again. And Matt, I would say the same thing if someone had said it about Kamala fans. 100%. I mean, there is no way you don't help someone in need just because of their political
the sign in their driveway.
Absolutely insane. And it's obviously illegal. And it's legitimately one of the most immoral things I've ever heard. Ever. Like that's the immorality of that story is just amazing. People are suffering, dying, don't have money, don't have food, don't have water. Now they're Trump fans. Let them die. Insane. But I do think Trump's going to come in. I truly hope he's going to clean some of this stuff up. He's going to say, hey, look, I don't think he's not going to throw away his political, opponents. I think that's what people want him to do. It just doesn't. It's not a smart thing to do. If you do that, if Trump comes in and he throws Hillary and Kamala in prison, even though, they probably do deserve it, what happens in 4 years? Then it's like, oh, look, Trump's the bad guy who jailed his opponents, even though that's what the Democrats do. You just can't. You really can't do it.
Right. Focus on winning issues. Right.
Win issues, and people who break the law should go to prison. That I definitely believe in. I'm sure Matt's with me there. But hey, everyone who's listening to this, we appreciate you guys. We went longer than normal today. And sorry for the loud. My shushing I was not shushing Matt most of the time. Maybe a couple times I was shushing him. I had the kids in the room with me this time. They're always a little interesting during a podcast. But But we appreciate you all for being here. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff. Let us know what you'd like us to talk about next week. We really do appreciate it if you see something during the week, you're like, hey, that's a cool story. You know, we talked about Coke and Pepsi a couple of weeks ago. That I think Matt and I enjoy that more than like anything. I really love those types of things.
The cereal one was fun.
The cereal, they were awesome, man. I love that type of stuff. I mean, you know,
Thanksgiving again.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't want to talk to you about things. You have terrible opinions.
Terrible
opinions on Thanksgiving. But no, seriously, guys, you can always hit us up on Twitter, on Facebook, email me, Kevin89Davis@gmail.com, and let us know what you'd like us to talk about. And again, let us know if you'd be interested in a channel separate completely from Catholic Family Podcast that is Catholics talking politics and culture. I don't know if I'm just speaking for myself. That's not even for Matt, but it's more for me thinking about it. And what we want to know if you guys are interested in that, so that we can kind of split them up, and the people who don't like politics don't have to, you know, just, I guess, not click on play on a video on Catholic Family Podcast. But that's a whole nother issue. But anyway, Matt, it's been fun as always. Go enjoy that cup of coffee, man. Go breathe that fresh air. Go, you know, every just little bite better. of Carbonese or whatever, you know, and you enjoy that. And we will talk to you next week.